You can earn this limited time exclusive emblem during the Guardian Games event by coming to my live stream at twitch.tv/Mactics and gifting a sub anytime I'm live playing Destiny 2. I'll see you there after the video. Enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of Will It Build, where today we have a Warlock build submitted by Kelp, which advertises that you're effectively in either Transcendence or your Super 24/7. They say if you're not in Transcendence, then you're in your Super, and if you're not in your Super, then you're in Transcendence. So let's take a peek at what we got, see what tweaks we're gonna make, and let's get right to it. Starting with the exotic armor piece, you're gonna immediately notice that it is indeed an exotic class item, which I know is gonna turn a lot of people off right out of the gate. Don't worry, I have a lot of ideas for like 3 different alternatives that I think could work with this build. Furthermore, exotic class items are significantly easier to get these days, with the primary method of acquisition I recommend to you being using your strange coins, which you can accrue simply for doing any ritual activity, swapping them with Zur for an exotic class item for 41 coins per piece. So if you have max coins, you can get 4 exotic class items per Zur visit, and then like with a couple more coins, you can get a 5th, and then obviously keep farming them to get even more exotic class items. Furthermore, with the new attunement system in the Pale Heart of the Traveler, where you can go to the Ghost, you can heavily influence what rolls of exotic class item perks you end up getting. It makes it a lot easier to get your desired rolls. They have recommended an exotic class item specifically with Spirit of the Necrotic, which is going to make our melee damage poison targets, and defeating targets afflicted with this necrotic poison is going to spread the poison to other nearby targets, and the Spirit of Vesper, where rifts periodically release arc shockwaves. Now, we have a very interesting tidbit of information in regards to the Spirit of Vesper that I'm going to share with you in a little bit, but first, let's get through the rest of the build setup. They have us rolling with Prismatic Warlock. A big thing that they're trying to push here is that we're constantly in either Song of Flame, or that we have Devour up permanently with Feed the Void, full HP heal, and tons of grenade energy on every single kill, in conjunction with Lightning Surge, along with 3 melee charges utilizing Arcane Needle. The idea is we're going to be spamming our Lightning Surges to carpet bomb everything. That's also going to poison anything, which doesn't get killed immediately by our Lightning Surge carpet bomb. And then we are also going to spread poison to any nearby targets that did not get hit by the Lightning Surge. They're also setting us up with Threadling Grenade as well, which will be throwing plenty because of how much grenade energy we'll be getting through Feed the Void. As far as Fragments go, they have a setup with the Festive Sacrifice, where while we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, which is either probably going to be Devour 24/7 or Amplified, as if we get Arc multi-kills, Arc ability or weapon multi-kills, we get Amplified, which has recently been buffed. It's exceptionally good now, 15% extra damage resistance, and causes enemies to be more inaccurate towards us, so we're going to just get hit less. That allows us to get bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. Next, we have the Festive Awakening, where rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage or super final blows is going to generate an elemental pickup of the matching damage type. In our case, that's probably going to be Tangles when we defeat them with our grenade. It's going to be Ionic Traces when we defeat them with our carpet bomb, and Fire Sprites when we defeat them with our super. In theory as well, since the Warlock Transcendence Grenade does Void and Stasis damage, theoretically, I think we might also be able to create Void Breaches and Stasis Shards as well. I'm not sure if there's an internal cooldown of creation of elemental pickups from element to element, but we'll see when we test that out. Then we have the Festive Balance, where rapidly defeating targets with light damage is going to give us melee energy, which kind of works into itself, right? Our Lightning Surge Carpet Bomb is going to subsequently refund melee energy so we can keep doing it. And then rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage, aka our Threadling Grenade, is going to wrap into itself by giving us grenade energy, in conjunction with the grenade energy we're already going to get from Devour. Now we have Protection, nice and easy, bonus damage resistance, and Dawn, nice and easy, powered melee hits give us a weapon damage buff. Melee blows give it to everyone around us. Finally, for Super, Song of Flame. Everyone knows how Song of Flame works. You get like 90-95% damage resistance or something like that. Your Radiant, a bunch of Scorch and Ignitions on all of your attacks. Your abilities become super juiced up. Basically impossible to die, and anything in front of you auto dies. For weapon recommendations, they're urging us towards any primary ammo weapon that does darkness damage. So anything that does strand damage damage or anything that does stasis damage. I've been loving the Barrow Dyad recently, and considering that it's Act 2, even though I don't have them yet, we are going to have access to some of the intrinsic perk options. I don't know which ones they are yet, but if One for All is one of the available options, that'll take this thing through the roof when it comes to damage capabilities. But this thing is pretty exceptional for general ad clear and general combat, and it's going to do an impeccable job of filling up our darkness transcendence meter. Our light transcendence meter we don't have to worry too much about because our lightning surge is going to fill that up at the snap of a finger. For our other two weapons, you can literally go whatever you want. I'm just using a fusion rifle, Null Composure specifically, because I really like how it synergizes with particle reconstruction this season. And then I'm also going with a commemoration just because I like using it for the most part. You can literally put whatever you want in these two slots. As far as mods go on the helmet, they have us with Dynamo, so that anytime we cast our Rift near enemy targets, which is going to be always because we have the Spirit of Vesper on our exotic class item, we get bonus super energy, plus Ashes to assets, so that when we get final blows with our grenades, we also get bonus super energy, more Song of Flame casts. On our gloves, they have us set up with bolstering detonation, class ability energy when we deal damage with a grenade, focusing strikes, we get class ability energy when we deal damage with a powered melee attack, and momentum transfer, so we get melee energy whenever we deal damage with a grenade. So dealing damage with our grenade is going to give us both melee energy and class ability energy. On the chest piece, they just have us set up with triple resistances. Me personally, I always like to go with concussive dampener, and then I match my resistances to whatever damage the enemies I'm fighting are doing. Down on the boots, they have us set up with an Orbs of Restoration, where picking up an Orb of Power grants a small amount of energy to your ability with the least current energy. Recuperation, which in my opinion is a little bit overkill considering we have Feed the Void, but it gives us some health anytime we pick up an Orb of Power. And then we have Absolution, where anytime we pick up an orb, we also reduce the cooldown of all three of our abilities. Finally, for class item mods, Reaper, so that we generate orbs on our next weapon final blow after class ability cast, and Distribution, so that anytime we cast a class ability, we reduce the cooldown on all of our basic abilities. Now, whilst right out the gate, I do think that I am going to end up making some mod and fragment changes to this build as we get going. I do always like to test the original version of the submission, so we're going to go ahead and test it out real quick, answer that question, will it build, make a few tweaks to try and take it to as top of a level as it can possibly be, so that y'all can walk away with the absolute best version of this for any echelon of content. All right, so a big idea here is going to be like carpet bombing clusters of enemies, and then they all spread poison to each other, right? Yeah, okay. But then we can also cast our Rift, which is going to do our shockwaves. And then we can fight from our rifts. And as you can see, this is giving us a lot of light transcendence energy. What's nice is that our carpet bomb, our lightning surge, also allows us to get bolt charge. If we just have one stack of bolt charge, so even if I don't cast any more abilities, I have 2 stacks of bolt charge right now, simply dealing weapon damage will allow me to get more stacks of bolt charge until eventually I'm just going to end up in a situation where my next melee or my next carpet bomb is going to just bolt charge everything. Okay, so the base ability regenerations that I have going on right now are not the greatest, but I think where we can make up for that is the idea that we have our transcendence up so much. So I think this build might be something that's a little difficult to get rolling in the beginning. But then once you get your first transcendence pop, I think the idea is then you can just spam transcendence, which will get you your super, which will get you your transcendence. Because when we have our transcendence up, we can just sprint around and fry everything all day long. Because also in Transcendence, when we deal grenade damage, it significantly increases our melee ability regeneration and vice versa. So in theory, we just do this all day long, and anytime we get final blows while we're in Transcendence, it increases the duration of our existing Transcendence. And so now that we're done with our Transcendence, then we can pop our Song of Flame, and it's much easier for us to get light Transcendence energy than it is for us to get Darkness Transcendence energy. So while I'm in my Song of Flame, I kind of want to get a lot of damage going with my Barrow Dyad. Okay, I'm liking this. Right out the gate, I was thinking that I might want Spirit of Inmost Light over Spirit of Necrotic. Was the first thing that popped into my head. But to be completely honest, I have Transcendence back up right now. Like, Inmost Light is not super necessary. I am curious, though, why we're going with Ashes to Assets over hands-on. I would think that I would want increased super energy gains on my melee final blows as opposed to my grenade final blows. Because with the constant carpet bombs and the investment into bonus melee damage with Spirit of the Necrotic, I'm getting a lot more melee final blows than I am grenade final blows. And my darkness meters are full now, so let me get my rift down so I get the arc pulses, the arc waves. There's my transcendence. That little throw out there. And then I'm just gonna spam my carpet bomb and my grenade. Because right now, most of my kills are coming from my carpet bomb. You have perma radiant on this when you're spamming your carpet bombs, which is really fun. Get my rift down to proc Vesper. I don't know how much mileage I'm really getting out of Vesper. I do see the vision for Necrotic, but I'm not sure how much I see the vision for Vesper. Is Syntheseps a second column perk? I think it is, right? Because Syntheseps would increase the damage of our carpet bombs by 165%, which is effectively a 2.65x damage buff. Vesper just feels a little misplaced here. I will say I would see a vision for Vesper if they had us set up with an Arc Super. And the reason for that is because, fun fact that a lot of people don't really know too much about, if you're using the Spirit of Vesper on an Arc Super, then the shockwaves from Vesper don't just deal damage to targets, they also blind targets. So I can see that if they had us set up with Stormcaller, but they have us set up with Song of Flame at the current moment. So we're not really getting that benefit of Vesper. I will say though, it is absolutely delivering on the power fantasy of you are always in Super or Transcendence. And I'm just thinking, think about how quickly we would wipe the floor with everything if we were on Synthos right now. Everything would get one shot. I mean, so far it's feeling really good. Yeah, you're a slippery little fella in this. Okay, this is really fun. See, right here is a situation where I would love to have... Okay, that time we got our full super. Snap, boom, light meters filled all the way back up already. And then while we're in our super and we have 95% damage resistance and it's impossible for us to get killed, let the Barrow Dyad sing. Now we're, okay, yeah, I'm seeing the vision on this. I think I really want to drop Vesper because the only way that I feel like I can make Vesper worthwhile is if I swap my super to Stormcaller so that the Vesper Rift blinds targets as well. And I really don't want to do that because Song of Flame and just being literally invincible inside of it while I reaccrue all of my energy from my Transcendence is a key part of the loop of this build for never being able to die. So I think what I want to do is, instead of something like Necrotic and Vesper, I'm okay with keeping Necrotic, but I would rather do like Necrotic Syntheseps. I think that's going to feel a lot better, but I definitely want to change some mods. First thing I want to do is I'm going to keep Dynamo, but I'm going to drop Healing Rift because my Healing Rift is going to turn into Phoenix Dive because Phoenix Dive gives me an instant heal. It also instantly heals all my allies, lower base cooldown, lower animation lock for usage, and it just lets me get a lot more use out of Dynamo. And I don't need Healing Rift at all if I'm dropping Vesper. I also want to scrap Ashes to Assets for hands-on. 90% of my kills are the carpet bomb melee, not my grenade. The other thing I want to look at is getting a little bit more orb of power production. I don't really feel like a lot of these mods are necessary, to be completely honest. So I think I'd actually like to get rid of all of them. The only one I kind of want to keep is a bolstering detonation because being in Transcendence doesn't juice my class ability cooldown, but it does keep my grenade up perma, and my grenade is an AoE damage over time grenade, which means that it'll always be on the field and it'll always be proccing bolstering detonation. So my Phoenix Dive will come back really, really quickly so I can use it more to get more mileage out of Dynamo. But then honestly, I think I'd want to go something like a Strand Siphon so my Barrow Dyad loads faster. If I'm willing to drop this stat mod, I think I'd also love to throw in a heavy-handed, so not only do my melee ability final blows give me bonus super energy, but they make an orb for me as well. The boots, I'm just not feeling the need for ability regeneration on orb of power pickup because if I'm sticking to my loop, my abilities are always up no matter what. So I'm honestly, we could go like something like Strand Surges for a Barrow Dyad so it does a little bit more damage. And then down here, we could throw in a time dilation. I'm gonna try this out and see how I feel about it, see if it feels better. Some other changes I want to make as well is to some of our fragments. I love the Dawn and I love the Protection. Balance, I feel like is a little bit unnecessary for the same reason that our boots ability regeneration on Orb Power pickup mods felt a little bit unnecessary. We always have our abilities up when we're in Transcendence. So I think I'd honestly rather swap it for something like Hope for bonus class ability energy, because that's the one thing that doesn't get juiced when I'm in Transcendence. The ability regeneration of that specifically. Facetive Sacrifice, in theory, seems good because we do need Darkness Transcendence energy with this build, and we always have an Arc, Solar, or a Void buff. Frankly, we typically have all three, Radiant, Devour, and Amplified. If we dig into the numbers, we see that ability kills while affected by an elemental buff grant an additional 1% Darkness Transcendence energy. 1%? That seems not good at all. So I would honestly rather swap it for something like Facet of Bravery, especially if we're using a strand weapon, because powered melee kills, which is going to be our Carpet Bomb, grant unraveling rounds to our strand weapons, which is going to create way more overall darkness damage with all the unraveling darts flying everywhere, which is going to fill up our Darkness Transcendence meter way more than Sacrifice ever would. Now that I'm looking at my fragments, I'm seeing that the Facet of Awakening is going to incur a 5-second cooldown between spawning the same non-tangle elemental pickups. And the main pickup I care about are tangles. With unraveling rounds through Bravery, we're going to be making tangles plenty. We don't need Awakening. So I think we actually drop Awakening and we pick up something like the Facet of Dominance, where Void Grenade ability damage is going to apply Weaken. You might think, why do you want to put that on? Because you have a Strand Grenade, you don't have a Void Grenade. Well, when we're in Transcendence, our Freezing Singularity Grenade begins as a Void Grenade, which means everything that gets hit by it is going to get weakened. The idea is we throw a grenade on a tanky target, it weakens it, and then we Carpet Bomb it with a now 165% melee damage buff from Syntheseps, and we're going to nuke even tanky targets, which I feel like we are struggling with a little bit in the beginning. I need y'all to give me a vibe check watching live in the stream, twitch.tv/Mactics, by the way. Does this feel better or does this feel worse? Step 1, Transcendence meter, fill it up. And right out the gate, see all that unraveling going everywhere? Now, I know technically this does feel unnecessary, given that this artifact has unraveling orbs on it. And so you could omit Bravery if you would like, as you can simply get unraveling rounds on the Barrow Dyad simply by walking over an orb. But I'm trying to make this with long-term in mind. Time to hit the Transcendence. That grenade is going to weaken targets now. I like this as well, because if we can't have Devour up, the Phoenix Dive is a really nice, like, emergency button to give us a chunk of HP. Now we have our super. The damage feels astronomically better. I feel like I was 2-hitting the Centurions before. Now I'm 1-tapping them. But now we'll pop this. I'm way more concerned with filling up my Darkness Transcendence meter. Oh my. Yeah, okay. The unraveling rounds is an absolute game changer for the Darkness Transcendence meter. Look at how fast that's filling up now. And then with just like a few abilities, I get my Light Transcendence meter filled immediately. And then whatever I don't have filled, I come out of my Song of Flame super immediately with 3 charges of my melee, so I can do 3 Carpet Bombs right off the rip. The tanky enemy, that guy is who I'm really curious how the damage is going to feel on. I don't have... Okay, now I have Biotic Enhancements. Oh, my frames are kind of dying because of how much I'm doing right now. My abilities are regenerating faster than I can use them. I don't know how much I'm really feeling the Dynamo, to be completely honest. I actually might opt to swap Dynamo for a double hands-on. Most of my kills are coming through the Carpet Bomb. And really, you don't have to use Barrow Dyad for this. You can use literally... Honestly, I'd recommend using a Strand weapon so you can take advantage of the Facet of Bravery. Those unraveling rounds really make a big difference when it comes to juicing up the super meter. You can use whatever you want. Put that down there. Trying to be a little more careful with the Curse Thrall. Yeah, this feels great with Syntheseps. Yeah, Synthos clears... I can't think of a single world where Vespers makes more sense than Synthos. All right, where's that tanky ogre? There you are. Weaken him with the grenade. Nope, yep, bye. Wait, is that a barrier knight? Hold up, you're not allowed to go over there. Woo! I want to know how it fares in the G. Fine, okay. We'll do 1 plate in the Grandmaster. There's a drain enemy. Very scary. It's a little spooky in GMs, I can't lie. But keep in mind, I'm solo. Imagine a situation where I have 2 other teammates. Yeah, so here's a situation. I have basically no Transcendence energy on anything. Plus, I don't really have a lot of super energy because I was just using everything on this guy. I wasn't really able to get a whole lot of ability regeneration. So this is a situation maybe in GMs you would want to go the Inmost Light route. As you can tell, will absolutely work in GMs. Like I said, I think maybe Inmost Light Syntho is a little bit more favorable for GMs, because in GMs, you can't always necessarily be going balls to the walls to keep that rotation going. And so when you're kind of in the neutral game in between your rotation, where either you're out of Transcendence and you don't quite have your super back, or vice versa, I think Inmost Light is definitely going to provide more value than Necrotic. If you're in activities where you feel like you're always able to flip-flop between the two, then I think Necrotic's the better play, just because you don't have a need for Inmost. But like I said, this build works well with Necrotic and Vesper. This build would also work well with Inmost and Vesper. It'll work well with Inmost and Synthos. It'll work well with Necrotic and Synthos. So you really have a lot of options when it comes to how you want to look at this build. And if you don't have any exotic class items whatsoever, you could honestly probably throw on Necrotic Grips, like the base exotic armor piece, the Necrotic Grip Gauntlets, and I think that would hold you over just fine until you're able to accrue an exotic class item. Will it build? Absolutely yes. This is actually one of the more enjoyable builds I've done in a little bit. Lots of action, very high uptime on all of your abilities, very spammy. I love it a lot. So we'll definitely win 1,000 silver. Now, if you have a build that you think is as exceptional as this one, or maybe even better, I would love to check it out and feature it in a video like this. All you have to do is submit it in my Will It Build channel in the Discord server, linked in the description down below. Hope you like this one. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.